Good morning, students. Today we're going to talk about rhythm, specifically time signatures, whole notes, half notes, quarter notes, and rests that are the same length as those. After completing this assignment, you will be able to understand the purpose of a time signature, identify the time signature in a piece of written music, determine the way rhythms should be counted for a piece of music, and count rhythms in 2/4, 3/4, and 4/4 time. I want you to imagine for a moment that you're driving a car. You're going to go drive from your house to the store. What store? I don't know. Doesn't matter. Any store you want. You turn on your car, you load up your playlist, or you turn on the radio. You start your GPS app or like Google Maps or Apple Maps or Waze, and you start to drive. You could drive very slowly or very quickly. With that said, there are speed limits telling you how fast or slow you should drive. As you drive, you turn from street to street. Some of the streets might be longer or shorter, but most streets are about the same. You see that all of the streets have a few different kinds and sizes of buildings, and you might see some empty lots of different sizes too. As you're driving, you follow directions from traffic lights, street signs, and your navigation app. These signs, they tell you where you can and cannot turn, whether you're going the right way, when to stop or go, when to speed up or slow down. They also let you know to watch out for pedestrians or other cars, and they can warn you about road conditions, like if there's road work or if a road is closed. Finally, you arrive at your destination and park your car. Note that there are double lines there. That's important later. So why does any of this matter? Reading music it's really like driving a car, only it's a little bit easier. The speed limit is how fast you can drive, and in music we have a tempo, which is how fast or slow to perform. There are streets or blocks that you drive on, and similarly we have our meter or measures, which is how we group the beats in our music. There are different buildings and lots, and similarly in music there are different kinds of notes and rests. The different kinds of streets and neighborhoods, they have different sizes, shapes, and purposes of buildings, and different kinds of notes and rests. They have different lengths and symbols and purposes. Some buildings are taller, some are shorter, and in music, some notes are higher, some are lower. The key difference here, this is the one spot where my my symbolism falls apart. And that's in a city, houses, they mostly stay on their own block. You don't really get houses that stretch between two blocks. In music, notes can stretch between measures, but we're not going to get to that yet. But I don't want to lie to you and tell you that notes only stay within their own measures. But with that said, when they stretch between measures, we're going to notate or write them differently. So more on that in future weeks. Finally, street signs, traffic lights, and road markings give you additional information and rules to follow. And just like that, in music, there are various kinds of markings that give you information about tempo, volume, articulation, which is how you play, and what to play next. In this case, you notice the driver is not playing an instrument, but everyone else is. And they are all practicing similar skills. They are reading the road ahead, and they are scanning for signs of how they should and should not drive, where to go, where not to go, and what they might be seeing on the page or on the road. Oh, I knew it would do this. So how are you going to remember all of this? Rhythm, beats, meter, tempo. Rhythm is a pattern of long and short sounds. For example, do, day, do, day, do. Beats are units for measuring rhythm. Watch how I count on my fingers as I chant the pattern that I just chanted before. Do, day, do, day, do. Some of those beats had more than one sound in them, and some only had one sound. Either way, they were all the same length. They are units that we use to measure. Meter is the organization of beats into groups. For example, do, day, do, day, do, day, do, day, do. The second time I performed my rhythm, I started over from 4 to 1. I didn't go from 4 to 5 because I moved on to a new group. So I started over my counting. Tempo is the speed of a piece of music. And if you want to remember that, you can just think to yourself, Rivera brought meatballs today. RBMT, rhythm, beats, meter, tempo. So, what is time signature? A time signature is a pair of numbers at the beginning of a piece of written music that helps you figure out the meter. Again, the meter is the organization of beats into groups. The time signature helps you figure out what that organization is. The top number will tell you how many beats are in the measure. The bottom number tells you which kind of note you count beats with, usually. Sometimes. No, it's complicated. Usually, that's true. The bottom number will tell you what kind of note you count beats with. Today, the work that you're doing in this slideshow, that is absolutely true. When we move on and start to talk about other kinds of rhythms, the bottom number might not always mean that. That's something to keep your eye out for and your ear out for in future weeks and months as we explore rhythm and time signatures together. But for today, this is true. So here's this example, and I'm going to use my drawing tool to point to things. Oh, look at that. I can draw arrows. I learned something new, everyone. All right, I'm excited. So that top number tells you how many beats are in the measure. In this case, there are going to be 4 beats in this measure. This bottom number here, it determines the type of note that gets the beat. That's a fancy way of saying which kind of note you count them with. So in this case, if we see a 4, it's kind of like a fraction without the fraction bar. So if a 4 is on the bottom, we might say it's quarters. Now, you might be saying 4 over 4. Wait, that's just 1. You're right, but this isn't math class. This is music class. So 4/4 means 4 quarter notes. How about that? So here's our rhythm starter pack, everyone, right? So first off, we have whole notes. In any time signature where we have a 4 on the bottom, a whole note is going to get 4 beats. All right. Now, why does this matter? What if the top number isn't 4? Well, if the top number isn't 4, then we're not going to be able to use a whole note, but we can still use the thing that is half of the whole, or a half note. Half note is 2 beats instead of 4. Notice that the half note has, and I'm just going to take my arrow tool again, the half note has this stem on it, and that's something that the whole note does not have. No stem there, right? But something that they do have, both of them, I'm enjoying this arrow tool a little too much, guys, is this empty note head. Look at that. There's nothing in there, all right? That lets me know that it is a longer note. In general, the less detail you see on a kind of note, the longer it will be. So the whole note is 4 beats, the half note is 2 beats, and the quarter note is half of that still. So we're half of 2 is, of course, 1. And the 8th note, we're not really going to talk about that too much today, but I do want to let you know that if the bottom number is 4, an 8th note is going to be half of a beat. It's going to be half of a quarter note. 1/2 of 1 is 1/2. And just like notes show us where the sound is, rests will show us where the silence is. And we have different kinds of rests that match up with the different kinds of notes. A whole, hang on. You try to draw. A whole rest is going to be, it's going to be the same length as a whole note. That's 4 beats. A half rest is going to be 2 beats. A quarter rest is going to be 1 beat. That one has a fun shape. Try to draw that when you have some free time. And the 8th rest is half of a beat. Notice that the 8th rest kind of has a little bit of a flag too, just like the 8th note. Important to note that. Ha! Very good, Mr. Hoffman. Thank you. You're very funny, Mr. Hoffman. Oh, thank you for saying so. Okay, so just notice that each note or rest is half the value of the one to its left. Measures, they help us organize music. So I'm looking and I see our time signature. And I see it's 4/4. That means 4 quarter notes. I know, it would have been easier to type this. There we go. 4 quarter notes. So how am I going to count these? I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, 4. Look at that. Go, Mr. Hoffman. All right, but hang on. I'm looking at this thing and I see bar. Oh no. What is this? Oh yeah. A bar is going to show us how we are dividing our groups. So a bar will tell us, okay, it's time to reset our counting. And now instead of 5, we are not going to say that. We are going to say 1. And then this is 2, and this is 3, and this is 4. So every time we see that bar line, we're going to reset our counting and start a new group. Each bar separates a measure from the next one and the one before. So 4/4 time. As we mentioned, 4 on the top means the number of beats, and 4 on the bottom means what we're counting with. In this case, 4 quarter notes. If you're not sure about that, stop, back up a few minutes, and watch that part of the video again. If it still doesn't make sense, ask me a question using a private comment. Quarter rests, they get 1 beat, but we don't play or sing on them. But quarter notes, we would sound them. The rhythm shown in this example would sound like this. I'm going to play by clapping. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Notice that I did not play or sing or clap, in this case, on the rests. When we count them and when we're writing in beat numbers, we're going to, for this assignment at least, use parentheses to show when it's a rest. But we are always going to include the beat number. And we are going to make sure that no beat numbers are left out. So at this point, I want to show you what your assignment is. There are text boxes here, and you can just double click in the text box and type in a number. In this case, this is the first beat. So, so it's going to get a 1. I'm going to search here. I'm going to show you another one here. All right. This one, it says 3/4. It means that there are 3 quarter notes in a measure. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, for a total of 12 beats. But we're going to divide those into groups of 3, which means there are 4 groups of 3. So I'm looking at this rest here, and let me circle this with my drawing tool. And right there, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at that and I'm going to go, okay, which beat is this on? I know because there are 3 quarter notes in a measure that these first 2 quarter notes in this measure here are 1 and 2. So I'm just going to go ahead and fill those in. But then what do I do with this? Well, a rest gets parentheses. So I'm going to first add those in. And now I need to know what goes between them. 3 quarter notes in a measure. I already have beat 1 and beat 2. This one must be beat 3. And I put that in parentheses because it's a rest. So there you have it. That is our first worksheet. If you have any other questions, please ask them with a private comment. And please go back and watch the rest of this video to get an idea. Thanks so much. I look forward to seeing what you do. And please review this video. Please ask the questions if you need. And please start doing the rhythm worksheet number 1. Thanks so much. Have a great rest of your day.